Hey, welcome back to part 4 of our Vibe Coding 2.0 series with Cursor and Claude Code. Today, we're going to get our project live on either Heroku or DigitalOcean. I'm not sure. I'm going to ask Claude Code which it would recommend. We're going to get the project live so you can go and sign up for our accountability buddy, Catalyst. So go to catalyst.craighewitt.com if you want to check it out. It's going to be there live, certainly by the time this video goes live in a few days. But we're going to get this live here in this video today. It's going to take about 20 minutes. Okay, so I'm back in my project. I have Claude running and I'm in Cursor, right? So Cursor, our integrated development environment, and Claude Code is our AI helper that lives in here. It lives down here on the terminal, and we're just going to ask it, hey, I want to get this thing live. Where would you recommend it go? Just for context, this is a Python project using the Flask framework. And so the answer for Claude may be different if you're running like a Next.js project, or you're running Ruby on Rails, or you're running something else that's like slightly different. The answer that Claude gives you may be different. I assume it's going to give you something like DigitalOcean or something, right? Oh, cool. It doesn't give me anything. Okay, so recommended is Render. Cool. Okay. Or Railway. Never heard of either of those. Less generous free to offer. Okay. So not Heroku, not AWS. Cool. Yeah. So let's go with Render. So that was the most recommended, right? I learned something new today. This is the best part for me of doing this series in this channel is I learn new stuff every day and I'm sharing it with you. So it's like a double bonus. I don't know what Render is. Let's go over to the website here. So we have Git, we have our project. Let's just open a new tab and say Render Python hosting. No idea. Render.com, deploy a Flask app on Render. Seems pretty easy. Okay, so let's just go to render.com and see what this is all about. Deploy apps, APIs, and AI workloads in minutes. Cool, like seems like a really kind of, DigitalOcean would be something similar. And let's see about pricing. My favorite kind of pricing here, right? Free. Deploy in minutes, manage data stores, custom domains, all this kind of stuff. Sweet. Okay, so we want to do custom domain because we want to put this at catalyst.craighewitt.com. So that's cool. Okay, so let's go back and see what Claude Code has cooking. So here it's going to create a render.yaml file. YAML, some kind of like settings file that just has a bunch of information about how it's going to deploy this on the server and the cloud. Cool. Okay, so I'll say, yep, that's fine. So it's creating this 97 lines in this render.yaml file. And if we want to look at this, we can look at it. So, oh my goodness. Okay, so then creating or updating our requirements.txt file. Requirements is like, these are all extra bits that are included, like kind of add-ons to our project. And it's adding Celery, which is a database thing. Yep, so that's fine. I know it's going to need a database, and it's probably slightly different than the database that it's running locally on my machine. So that's cool. Okay, so checking if this, I don't know, whatever, and it's going to import this Celery thing into the app so that we can actually store stuff. That's cool. And again, like I've been lucky, I guess, in that the things that Claude Code told me haven't been wrong so far. It'll be really interesting to see, like when it tells me to do something, I don't know any different, right? When it tells me to do something and it's wrong, how do we fix it using Claude Code? Because that's the plan, is like we're just assuming it's right until it's not, and then can we get out of it with Claude Code too? Okay, I want to kind of understand this. So it's in this proc file. I don't know what that is. So, I'll tell you one thing I want to do here is I want to take a slight detour. I'm going to go back to the website, and I'm just going to open up regular Claude and say, what is a proc file? Because I just want to know a little bit. I want to know like what a proc file is. Oh my gracious. So what is proc file, right? And I got that just from right here. It's the file, right? It's the file that it's creating. I don't know what this is, and as much as I trust Claude Code that tells a platform, most commonly Heroku and other files like Railway or Render, how to run your application. Okay, cool. So not changing any of the core functionality of what we're doing, but just giving the application and the instructions in the application guidance on how to run this thing in the cloud. Cool. Okay, so yes. So we talked about how like the virtual environment is the thing that gets this to look most like how it's going to run in the cloud. In our case, Render. Now we're giving it a little more instructions on how to like install this application in the cloud and have it run and stuff. So just from running a SaaS app, I run a SaaS app called Castos, or podcast hosting platform. If you're going to start a podcast, check it out. I know that there's a ton of work that goes in on the development team side to make sure that what is happening locally and what is happening in production are exactly the same. And so that's what a lot of this work is, and I think it's all very fair. Okay, so this is the deployment guide for render. That's awesome. Yep. So it's got this guide that tells render, or tells us how we're going to deploy this thing. That's cool. Yep, that all makes like good sense. I want all this to be here for myself. If I'm working with someone else, if I onboard an engineer, I can just give them this and they should be able to run with it. Okay, cool. Oh, so we're done. Okay, so done. I've set up everything you need to deploy Catalyst to render, created these files, updated the requirements and the WSGI. Next steps, push to GitHub. Cool. Okay, we'll do that in just a second. And then deploy to render. So I need to create a new application here. So cool. So what I could do is we'll do this manually just for fun. Go down here, and this is what it wanted us to do. Git add, git commit, and git push. So I'm going to copy this guy because I can remember the other two. Okay, so what we're going to do is git add dot git commit with this message, and then git push. And we're going to do this in this other terminal tab over here. And we're just going to say git add dot, and then we paste that guy in, git commit -m, and then the message, and then we'll say git push. Cool. Okay, so let's go back to GitHub and make sure that that actually worked. So let's go back to GitHub. Okay, cool. So we have this deployment.md file, this proc file, this render.yaml file, all of which we just added in this session. So we know that works. So hey, pat yourself on the back, right? We know Git and GitHub and all this stuff works. Super cool. Okay, cool. So that is we just created another terminal session, and terminal is that kind of low-level supercomputer-y stuff. So that's fine. We're just going to switch back. We'll keep both of these open. We're just going to switch back to the one that's running Claude code, because it has instructions for us like, hey, go to render.com/dashboard, create a new blueprint, connect your GitHub repo, and render will automatically detect this render.yaml. So let's do that. Let's go to the dashboard and new blueprint, and then we'll connect GitHub. Okay, so over here, let's say get started. I'm going to use Google to sign in. Let's see, it said new blueprint, connect to GitHub, and we're already signed into GitHub. So that's cool. So it should read this. I want to connect just my personal and only one repository here, and we'll select Catalyst. Yep, great. So just my personal stuff, not a team or group or anything in this case. And I want to just this one repository, this Catalyst repository. And I want to install. And we'll say connect. We'll give it a name, Catalyst. And in the main branch, because that's the only branch we have, if we go to over here, branches, we only have one. That's cool. So we'll work on branching next time, maybe. A render.yaml file was found, but there's an issue. Oh no, there's an issue. What's the issue? Redis file type not found in the database. Okay, let's just take a screenshot and take this into Claude Code. So I just did Command-Shift-4 on my keyboard and said, we just took a screenshot of this because this is the error message here, I think, and just said like, hey, what's the problem here? And so we're just asking Claude Code. I see the issue. The type Redis field is not valid in render's YAML schema. Redis should be defined as a service, not a database. Okay, I don't know. So yes, now we need to push this to GitHub too. So let's make sure that it tells us. Yep, make that change to the render.yaml file. And now hopefully this tells us to fixed databases, Okay, so cool. Now let's go back here and say, let's add this to Git on our computer. Git commit. Okay, cool. So that's done. So we just pushed those changes to Git and GitHub. So Git locally, GitHub being in the browser. And so now let's retry this. Cool. Okay, that must have worked because it's asking me for money. Okay. I'm going to pause this. I'm going to pay them. Even though it's free, I'll be right back. Okay, just entered credit card information. I'm sure just like if I go over some crazy limit, it's not free anymore. Okay, so this all looks good. So like the render.yaml file has issues still. Oh my gracious, we made more errors. Okay, so I'm not sure. So I'm just going to copy all of this and put it back in Claude Code. So I'm not really sure what's going on here. So just like if you're reading this, like, oh, I see the problem. I think this is the problem is like AI is very confident. It often doesn't just say, I don't really know what the problem is. So we could be running around in circles here. I hope not, because we're really close to getting this puppy live. And I hope this is working. If not, we may have to investigate a little more, which I might just do offline. But we're going to have confidence that this is going to work because okay, great. So that's all done. Now I'm going to tell this just to commit to Git and GitHub, and then we'll deploy it. Just to do git add dot, git commit with a message, and then git push. So git status, cool. It tells us what branch we're on and that we're up to date with the main branch. That's cool. So it did a diff, which says, hey, what's the difference between what's in the remote, like what's on GitHub and what's locally? And then it has these changes, which are the changes we just made. So that's cool. So this should not take that long. I'm not sure why this is taking a long time. It should just run git add, git commit, and git push. But maybe there's more to it than I know. That's just possible that there's more to this than I know. While we're waiting, let's go to GitHub and just see what this is all about and if there's anything that's happened here. So this was the one from a few minutes ago. I don't see anything else. If I refresh here. Okay, so we did a bunch of stuff. Git add, git commit. Nice message. Okay, great. That's cool. Git push. Yes. So it combined git add and git commit in one command here. So we did it in separate ones. So let's just go to GitHub, refresh the page. Should see that this is new. Great. Okay, now let's go back to this guy and scroll all the way to the bottom. And do this. Hello. Okay, cool. It worked. I don't have API keys yet. That's fine. We're just not going to do all that. So this is going to cost $25 a month. That's cool. Deploy this. And so the very last thing that we'll have to do is just use a custom domain, which I'll do in a separate video probably. But we'll be able to look at this on some kind of a local domain probably. Here in just a minute. Cool. So it's creating the database. It's going to create the web service workers, which is cool. Workers are things like jobs that run on a queue. And I don't know what Catalyst beat is. Cool. Okay, so this is running. Deployments take a surprisingly long time, I think. You're just like, gosh, this is not a lot of code. It's a pretty small project. Why is it taking all this to install this on a machine? I don't really know. But okay, so we're done with 2 parts. We're down to parts 3 and 4, creating a web service and background workers. That's great. And cron job is like if you want stuff to run on a schedule, like we're going to send emails every Monday and every Friday, we'll have to use the cron job for that. So that's cool. So this should be all done here in just a minute. And hopefully we'll be able to view this. If not, it'll be in the very next video where we create custom domain to be able to run this at catalyst.craighewitt.com. But sure enough, by the time this comes out, that will be done because I'll do that video either later today or tomorrow. So by the time you see this video, go to catalyst.craighewitt.com, sign up for the accountability buddy, and I'll send you emails to keep you accountable on your goals and help you achieve more and be more successful in your life and in your business. Cool. Okay, so this is working. Let's go back to Claude Code, see if it has any questions. While we're waiting, we can just ask Claude Code. So I think first of all, we can clear. So clear is the context of Claude Code because we send tokens every time we talk to Claude Code. And if we want to save money or not reach our limits, we need to clear the context window because what we're going to ask it now has nothing to do with what we just did. So my plan will be every time I commit to Git and push something, I'll clear the context because that other stuff doesn't really matter in relation to what I'm doing now. So now I want to say, so just in plain English, right? So I own craighewitt.com. what do I need to do to run this on a subdomain of my website? And it should just give me some information about like, hey, go to your domain registrar or wherever you manage your DNS, add this DNS value. And we might not know the DNS value because it might come from here. This will probably give us like an IP address, and we might just need to run that subdomain to an IP address. An IP address being like a location on the internet, or a server in this case. So let's see what it has to say. Whoa, it says a whole lot. Okay, so deploy your application first. Oh, so it doesn't have the context. Bummer. Okay, so we should have had the context. Okay, we're just going to tell it that it's running somewhere. If your DNS provider, and then your hosting provider url.com for an A record. Okay, so this is what we want. So we're going to create an A record with the value catalyst and the IP address where this thing is running. Cool. Okay, and so we're going to assume that render gives us a SSL certificate, which lets us run HTTPS. So really, I think in just a minute, we'll have an IP address, and we can go and I manage the DNS for my website, and I can just add that as a subdomain and put in the IP address, and we'll be done. Okay, so back here in the render dashboard, I have a couple of things going on, so I just want to show this here. So we have our Catalyst project. If we click into that, we see the few things that are running here. If we go to syncs, which is like it's syncing from GitHub automatically, and you see this one's still running, and it started 9 minutes ago, which is kind of a long time, right? So for this thing to deploy, it takes this long. Maybe in the future, it won't take as long. So it's done 4 of the 5 things. And if we click on, it's creating the web service now. It's saying the first deploy for this is in place. And if we click on that, we can see what's going on in the actual server, which is pretty cool. So just seeing all this in real time is like super, super hacker stuff to me. And so, let's see if we can kind of take a look at this. Okay, so it's not finished setting up yet, but this is like the URL we could look at if we didn't connect this to our website yet. So that's probably what we'll look at when this is done. So we'll go back and just wait for this to finish. Should just be another few minutes. It's been 9 minutes already. I paused the recording a bit so I don't bore you to death with this, but it should be done in just a few minutes, and we'll take a look at it on this website right here, which is kind of like the website that Render is rendering for us, okay? Okay, so the deployment failed, so not good. But, let's learn together and figure out what this is all about. So these are the logs like we were looking at. And to be honest, this is just Greek to me. Like, I don't know what all this means. So exited with status 1. I don't really know, right? So there's ways probably to debug this, but I'm just going to copy this whole thing and go back to Claude Code and tell it what happened. Just sent it everything. just threw the whole kitchen sink at it and let it figure it out. Okay, so error that is a version incompatibility with Anthropic SDK. Okay, so Anthropic, so we're calling Claude with this to give some advice on stuff. And so it's saying, hey, just update the version here. Cool, that's pretty straightforward. Okay, so we'll do that. Once that's done, I'll commit this to Git because I'm faster than Claude is. How did Claude do? Claude did great. Thank you very much. We'll copy the fancy commit message that they had. Go over here, do git add dot, git add dot, git commit, and git push. Go to GitHub and just make sure that changed. So would change the requirements one. Yep, so that's great. Okay, great. Now here in Cursor, go back to Claude Code. Render should see that automatically. So let's go, let's go back here and boom, cool. Okay, so Render is seeing changes in GitHub and it's deploying a new version of this. So that's awesome. Coincidentally, what we probably want to do, and we'll do this in the next video, is create different branches, because what we don't want to do is just be pushing stuff from our local machine up to like the live website. So we want to create like a staging version of this probably, or not, and just YOLO it. I don't know. But this is working. I'm going to pause the recording just because this takes about 10 minutes. I'll come back once this either succeeds or doesn't. Okay, cool. So deploy live for this, and that one change that Claude Code suggested with the Anthropic version was the difference. So let's just come over here. This still should be the thing. Oh, okay. So this worked. It's live on the internet and is working. In the next video, we're going to create a custom domain to have this be at catalyst.craighewitt.com. But by the time this video goes live, you'll be able to go and do that because I'm about 3 days ahead right now. And you'll be able to sign up and have me help you be accountable to your goals. Okay, cool. I hope you're enjoying this. If you are, please like, subscribe, smash the bell, tell a friend about it, get involved, drop a comment in below with like what you're building alongside me with Cursor and Claude Code because it's a magical pairing.